So Parcelable. It's a very different thing. But in Android, one of the things you need to do in Android is saving state. Basically, the way the phone works, and this was designed when phones had a lot less memory than they have now. It's still relevant, however, and it still works this way, and the challenges are still there. Programs are just using more memory now than they used to. But basically, the way that the hardware works makes virtual memory on a phone just something that's not a good idea. Even if you have solid disk state drive in your laptop, it's not really a good idea, but you can kind of get away with a little bit better. But basically, flash storage doesn't do very, very frequent writes very well. It's not good for it. And virtual memory is basically, it does frequent writes and reads. The reads are fine, but the writes are not. And so instead, if you want to do multitasking, if you can't just keep the whole memory of the program in the background, what you need to do is, okay, I need memory. Start from scratch. And there are some Android applications that do that. They are really annoying. Because, you run something, it's reloading and I need to go back to where I was. Rather, the idea is that your application actually, the system tells your application, go and save your state so that when you run again, I'm there. So if you look at the onCreate method for your activity, it passes this saved instance state bundle thing. That is basically half of that. So if you get a value for that, because if it's null, then there is no state. Maybe the activity was just created. But if it was saved, you will get your state there, and you can unpack your data and go on with that. So, and there's a callback called onSave instance state where you can then also save your data to a bundle. But that's activities. Views have basically similar hooks, actually, if you want to know that. But bundles are only part of the solution, and they're not the complete solution in this case. So bundles and parcelables. So basically, a bundle is a kind of a special parcelable. So a bundle is a way of actually making this easier on you. It can store key value pairs. Okay, I have this key, and here's the value. A directory, you map whatever you want to call it. So they can be a bit, because you need to have this string key and stuff like that, it can be a bit cumbersome in some ways. It's also quite inefficient. Not only that, a bundle in itself is just key value pairs. It doesn't help you store stuff. So you can have a bundle inside a bundle and stuff like that, because a bundle is basically what you need to have is something that you can write somehow to storage. And that the Android term for that is the parcelable interface. So basically you can write it to something called a parcel, and then if you have a parcel, you can read the state of the object back to the parcel. So how does this work? So a parcel is just a kind of an interface where you can just write bytes to. That's about what it is. It's just a sequential ordering of your data. So this is what a parcel looks like in Kotlin. So in this case, we have a class, myParcelable, that has a data member, and it implements the parcelable interface. It also has a secondary constructor that takes, and by the way, all this, the content was actually, that you see here, is actually what is generated from a wizard in Android Studio that does this. So you can use a wizard for this. Press the Alt-Enter button, or the Command-Enter, I think, whatever it is, on Mac, the equivalent. And so what do we see here? So we see a number of things. So one of the things is a parcel has to have this write to parcel method. That method takes two parameters, a parcel and flag. So a parcel is the bit of, it's basically a mapping to this data structure where you can write, this data stream where you can write your states to. How it's done, you don't really need to care about that. These flags, they are normally not really relevant. If there are particular cases, you can put, parcels have support putting file descriptors and stuff like that in a parcel and actually have them be understood. Because parcels are not only used for storing state, they're also used for passing data from one application to another one. So you don't share the memory between applications, you just shovel parcels across. So that the applications can't, basically from a security perspective, you don't want applications to go into each other's memory. That's a good way of getting spyware on your platform. So in this case, we just say parcel, write an integer, this data. So write an integer to the parcel. And then there's this other one, this is describe content. Yeah, so I made this an expression function because it saves a little bit of space. But describe contents, again, that is, if you need to use the special parcel features, you need to basically return a different value there. For the vast majority of cases, the correct return value is 0 here. I don't need any special features, I'm just storing data. And then you need, so this companion object creator translates to a static field creator in the class if you look at it from a Java perspective. It has to be a companion object creator. There are some other ways you can do it. Because Android looks for the static field. This is a correct way of doing it in Kotlin. There are other ways, but you might want to do this. So Parcelable has a member class, or it's a type that is called creator with the parameter, or the generic parameter of what it actually creates. In this case, a myParcelable. Because basically, when we have a parcel, we also need to be able to get back the object that it belongs to. So the creator is a factory, not a pattern that we discussed before. A factory for creating parcels. In this case, or creating your object, the creator myParcelable given a parcel. So this is where this other constructor comes in. I could have chosen instead to just do the unpacking in this function, or the application could have done that and rather than putting it in the constructor. One advantage of doing it here is that you might be able to put write to parcel and read from parcel or create from parcel close together. In this particular case, it's not relevant, but you need to do things in order because they are just sequences of bytes. Parcels do not remember what type of data is stored at what position, let alone what attribute that corresponds to. This makes for a compact, efficient data storage, but it also makes for something that can easily break. And one of the challenges of how Android works basically means that if you want to have an array of something, you need to know what the type is that you want an array of. So parcel, you can have an array of parcelables, and in that case, it starts to really come in. If you want 10,000 coordinates, putting that in an array that just has the X and the Y coordinates, just completely sequential in there, is a lot more efficient than if you have an array of 1,000 bundles that each have a key value and then getting the elements, etc. Yeah. So a parcelable doesn't remember it. So when you read it, you say, "Give me this parcel." So there's two options actually. So when you write a parcel to a parcelable, there's two ways. You can either do this by ask it to store the type of the parcelable and the creator, or you can say my receiver knows what they're getting, and they need to parse in the creator. So so it can record the type optionally. Of course, if it has an array or a list of items, it will only store it once for the entire list. So basically, if you look at the interface of Parcelable, it has that. So if you want to have something that the data structure that you can store, that's not just some attributes and value pairs, like integers, strings, all the regular types are available directly to be written, like write-in or in a bundle. But if you want to store a complex thing into a bundle, basically the Parcelable is, in the end of the day, just a way of writing your data in a very compact way. You write in order and you read them in the same order. So the question is, like, how does it relate to intents? So intents are rather dumb data structures. They don't have real behavior. All the behavior around intents is the recipient. So in activity receives it or it sends it, etc. So intents are probably translated underwater into to parcels. They are themselves not parcelable. What they do is they have a bundle in them, the extras, where you can attach data to an intent. That's how you can pass data from one activity to another one. A bundle is a parcelable. So if you say, okay, I can only bundle or on an intent that put string extra or something like that. Yes, that's just the same as you go get extras dot put string. It's just syntactic sugar, a shortcut way of setting this. So if you don't remember how to actually set content in your Parcelable, that again is just the creator.